Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and invocation. Color Guard, parade the colors. Color Guard, retire the colors. Lieutenant Commander Matthew Four will now deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, increase the knowledge and awareness that NPS is the flagship technical graduate school for the Department of Defense, and let it be known today that number increases. For today, we strengthen this academic foundation as a strategic imperative for every student who arrives after us, and the compounding effect and return on investment increases every quarter because of our combined efforts in applied research and faculty experience. Soon, our graduates will reintegrate back to units. May our brilliant leaders brilliantly bring military brilliance. God, thank you for today's commencement and for the accomplishment of each graduate. Thank you for the ways you have sustained them, and thank you in advance for what you will do through them. Bless each and every one of them, and especially bestow blessings upon their families. As we honor these graduates, may you, Lord, be honored. Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Naval Postgraduate School's Summer Quarter graduation. Sharing the stage with President Rondeau and Provost Gardner is our esteemed guest speaker, former United States Deputy Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Robert Work, the chairs of our academic departments, and our local military leadership who have been deeply involved in the education of today's graduates. I would now like to introduce Dr. Scott Gardner, Provost of the Naval Postgraduate School.
Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. All right, it's a wonderful day. It's a great day. It's a happy day. It's a loud day. All right. Good, all right, so let's start first, and we're gonna do this a bunch of times, and each time's gotta be better than the last time. So this time could be kind of like the low, the time. Let's congratulate our graduates. Outstanding. And these graduates are here because of hard work that they did, but they're also here because, like all of us, we're part of teams and have our own teams. Certainly I do. So would everybody who's a friend or family member of our graduates for today please rise? Graduates, would you please thank your teammates? Outstanding. Thank you. These graduates were part of another team, not their personal team. They were part of a school team of faculty, staff, and administrators. Would the faculty of the Naval Postgraduate School please stand, both on stage and throughout the audience? Thank you. Would the active duty and professional military and staff and everybody else at NPS who's a part of the team that makes this happen, please stand as well, because they are 100% as much a part of this team. So. Thank you. Like all of our achievements, it's a team of team efforts, right? We all put together a series of teams and we work with those teams, and that's how we achieve things. And for students who are here, they achieved a lot. They, what we call, climbed the mountain. For most of them, there was a class or multiple classes or an effort that was hard, that initially they did not think that they could do. That they looked at the work that was being done by the graduates of that class or the graduates of that program, and they said, not me, no way. I'll work hard, I'll do my best, but I can't do that. And they did, and you did. And that climbing the mountain is impressive. Maybe you did it in basic with physical things or in your MOS with physical things, but here you did it intellectually. You climbed a mountain that you did not think, many did not think, at least I, when I got my master's, did not think that I could accomplish. And by climbing that mountain, you developed mental muscle skills. You developed confidence. And while the degree that you all have is wonderful and terrific, it has knowledge and skills, it might be that one of the more valuable things that you achieved here is that knowledge that you can climb the mountain, that you can take on mentally, intellectually, academically challenging tasks that you did not think you could plow through, and you plowed through them. Maybe not always brilliantly, maybe not always beautifully, but in the end you got it done, and that's really the key. So congratulations on that. And in doing so, you changed your status. And I don't mean the stripes on your shoulders and all that. Some of you changed that now, and all of you will change that soon. But I mean you went from a consumer of information to an applicator of information, and in some cases, a producer of information. And that's really critical, because it's very important to recognize that the information that shapes our world isn't from a them, it's from a we. And once you do that, the information's a little less intimidating. You take it less as fixed, and you become part of the system, the team of teams that's generating the information that the rest of the world is using and relies on. We talk about it being an information age. You are now part, an engine of that information age. In doing so, you also developed mad skills, right? Some of them are organizing skills. Some of them are specific skills to what you did in electrical engineering or acquisitions or things like that. You all became better writers. You all became more analytical. You all became better presenters. You all became better at taking abstract ideas and applying them to the needs of the military. And that is what NPS does. And the chaplain nailed it perfectly. It takes abstract ideas and makes them important to our nation and our allies' nation's defense. So congratulations on that. The last thing that you did is you made connections amongst yourselves. Remember I said that it might be climbing the mountain might be more valuable than the actual content and skills of the degrees, although the faculty won't maybe necessarily agree with that. But it might be that the connections that you made with each other are even more important than all the rest. Because 10, 15 years when you have a problem and being able to rely on a teammate with that connection, that network that you made here is terrifically valuable. So I encourage you to curate those connections, to not let them atrophy, and to realize that you made them with special people at a special time. And finally, I leave you that wherever you are, wherever you go, you are always of the Naval Postgraduate School. You're always part of the family. Congratulations, graduates.
I'm now honored to introduce the president of the Naval Postgraduate School, Vice Admiral Anne Rondeau, United States Navy, retired.
Good morning. Good morning. It's great to have you here. I will tell you is that when I walk into this hallway, I always try to get a sense of the gestalt of the room. And today, there may be more little kids here than we've ever had in the past. It's great because they are our future, and that's why we are here, so good on you. The Provost said it well, and he said everything really great. I also want to echo his comments about our chaplain. He always targets his blessings upon those and add to the point of relevance. I want to thank him, and we need to give a round of applause to the Del Monte brass. It's a beautiful day in Monterey, and so we're happy to have all of you here. We have a couple of special guests that I want to acknowledge, and I would ask them to please stand up. The Consul General from Georgia, Mr. Levon Beridze, and his wife, Mrs. Irene Ashitani. And the Consul General from the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Prasetyo Hadi, and his wife, Mrs. Ota Prasetyo. I also want to take this opportunity because there are a lot of things that happen both in front of the students and behind our warrior scholars. But I wanted to ask that we all express deep gratitude to our Provost, Dr. Scott Gartner, and our Dean of Students, Captain Brandon Bryan, for their work in ensuring that the latest class, you, of NPS Warrior Scholars, will be ready to accept the challenges that you will face in the months and years ahead, and especially to all of the NPS chairs and faculty, the researchers, the teachers, the technicians, the staff, the registrar, and all those who make this engine happen. Thank you very much. We are privileged to have a very special leader as our guest speaker, and a bit more about him in a minute. But he is a visionary in every way. I'll talk about that. And he's a leader beyond measure for our Department of Defense and our nation, our country. He's a former deputy SecDef for 2 different administrations, 3 different presidents, and of 3 different SecDefs. And most importantly, in my opinion, Mr. Robert Work is an alum. So it's great to have him here. He is now also the 25th inductee to our Hall of Fame. You'll see that he's wearing a medallion today. And yesterday we had a small ceremony to recognize his induction into this Hall of Fame. If anybody wants to see who else is in that Hall of Fame, come over to Herman Hall and see it in the lobby. Countless valuable contributions by many leaders, and today we have, of course, Mr. Work as now the latest in that Hall of Fame. A tireless man who harnessed his own intellectual power. We'll talk about that in a minute. Our students have a wide range of outlets to pursue education and research in AI and machine learning, and it is Mr. Work who has led that, and you'll be amazed as to what he did for his thesis in 1990. We'll get to that. I am sure, though, that Secretary Work will say more in his comments, and I believe that he would agree that in the cognitive era of strategic competition, both education and technology, as well as strategic thinking, are all important to the military's education, decision, and our decision advantage. All coming together in this extraordinary fusion of operational excellence, of operational experience, of strategic mindfulness, and science and technology, and strategic and policy knowledge. It all comes together here, and it's a very amazing process that brings it all in that way, so that you will take your knowledge and your solutions and your innovation leadership back to the fleet and the force, back to your countries, back to your first responder units, and then make things better. As for today's ceremony, we have 270 warrior scholars and students who will get their advanced degrees. We have 26 international students from 8 countries, all navigating separately and yet in a cohort and as a team through the challenging academic schedule and the deadlines and the demands of producing theses and capstone solutions. Clearly, this is a reflection of your hard work and your collaboration with your faculty and with each other. But let me tell you another thing. This gets harder on Monday, because it's going to be an expectation that you're going to be really bringing to fore and to your next place what you've learned here. So this gets more challenging, more exciting, more fun, and a little bit harder because of the expectation of your leadership. So the NPS degree is exclusive. There is a view here about what is it about NPS, and the distinctiveness is very clear. You bring to the problems that you have in front of you where you came from, and you'll take them to where you are going. You were selected based on your operational performance, not on you making an application that looked good. It is your body of work that looked good, and then you were selected. Your leadership qualities, and your warfighting acumen, and your operational acumen, and your potential are all the traits that brought you here. And now you're stronger for that experience, and you will be expected to lead. You're in an intellectual crucible that's not just about your academic performance and your scholarship, but your application of that to now making solutions and capability. That is different than any other place in the country. There's no greater burden, there's no greater privilege, there's no greater honor, there's no greater opportunity than what's in front of you right now. Our mission has been to prepare you. It is your mission now to deliver. The NPS degree that you get today signals to everybody that you're not only increased your knowledge, but as the Provost has said, that you have distinguished yourself in your ability to apply that knowledge to higher thoughts and to higher results. You will be in demand. There will be an expectation, and that's great. It's incredibly and enjoyable to have that place that you have right now. You'll solve complex problems that will often be hard, but you're out there, and you'll put yourself out there. Our Secretary of the Navy, Carlos del Toro, said this: lifelong learning is indeed our greatest competitive advantage. And I say that we are part of that, of your journey. We're part of it. We're not the whole thing, but we're part of that. While here, you have developed bonds. Your family has seen you study, and all those kids have seen mom and dad study. And I will tell you is that that is an extraordinary privilege and opportunity as well. So, we at NPS have been honored, joyous, jazzed, and truly privileged to be able to serve you on this journey. And we hope that you will be wildly successful. So lifelong learning and that lifelong journey for leadership. Mr. Robert Work, and you'll read his bio in your programs. I'm not going to read that. What I want to tell you is not what is not in there, but is evident if you know this man's body of work. He got his Bachelor of Science degree at University of Illinois.
Go Illini.
Go Illini. He got his Master of Science in Systems Management from USC. He got his Master of Science in Space Systems from NPS. And he got his Master of Arts in International Affairs and Policy from Johns Hopkins University. Let's talk a bit about that Master of Science in Space Systems. The topic of his thesis, September of 1990. The thesis is this: toward a national space warfighting.
That's what I was doing when I was writing my thesis.
Yeah. Toward a national space warfighting architecture, forging a framework for debate about space-based operational and tactical combat support. The primary objective of this thesis is to propose a template for a national space warfighting architecture. The template is intended to fill the void that exists between national security space policies and the service's space warfighting plans. As such, it will provide a unifying framework for follow-on discussions and debate about the proper direction of space-based operational and tactical combat support. 1990, before Space Force was even thought about. This is the man who will be the exemplar as to the relevance of your work. And I must say he had as his chairman, Dr. Rudy Panholzer, and as his second reader, Dr. Dan Boger. So thank you very, very much for that great work, because this is a thinker who thought about Space Force long before, and space policy long before it was being thought about. His body of work is what we would expect of you: an intellectual range, biology, international policy, space systems, and systems management. My goodness. Intellectual flexibility, his ability to, through analytics and analysis and his own self-examination, to move his thinking along. So he is not stuck here, he is leading here. Intellectual seriousness. He's mulling over these things. And so right now, he's a leader in how we're thinking about AI. Intellectual breadth and depth. He goes from the tactical to the strategic, back to the tactical. And intellectual reputation and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the leader who we have in front of us this morning. I ask you to welcome Mr. the Honorable Robert Work.
Well, thank you, Admiral Rondeau, for those overly kind words. I would just ask that in the future, don't talk about the body of work. It just, it doesn't work. Admiral Rondeau, Provost Gardner, Dean of Student Bryan, distinguished chairs of the departments, members of the faculty of one of the best academic institutions in the world, to all the loved ones of the graduates who are here today, and of course, to the graduates. And what Admiral Rondeau said, the hard work starts on Monday, that's exactly right. I imagine many of you are anxious to get back to your military occupational specialties and start working on problems that are vexing your specialty and vexing the Navy or the Air Force or the Army or the Marine Corps. But I just want to tell you a cautionary tale. This reminds me of When I retired from the Marine Corps, I went and became a Vice President for Strategic Studies at the Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments, which is a think tank. And I worked as the primary naval force analyst for 7 years. And then I was invited to come into the first Obama administration as the Undersecretary of the Navy, which is the #2 civilian in the department. I was excited. I had been writing about the Navy and Marine Corps team for years, and I said, okay, I'm finally going to get to a position where I'm going to be able to make a difference. So I went into the Pentagon. It took me 7 years to get a CAC card. I finally get to my desk, and I say, okay, what do you got for me? What are we going to talk about today? And they said, we're going to talk about the brown tree snake. I won't, in polite company, say what I said then. But what was happening is we were moving a lot of Marines from Okinawa to the island of Guam because the government of Japan had asked that we relieve the burden on the people of Okinawa. There are so many Marines on the island. They asked that we move them off Okinawa, and they were going to go to Guam. And it turns out there's this invasive little critter called the brown tree snake. If you go out into the bush in Guam, you won't hear any birds because the brown tree snake eats all the birds. And the Japanese government said, okay, we're going to help you do this, but you have to promise that no brown tree snake is ever going to get to Japan. And the week before, a Marine Corps F-18 landed at Iwakuni with a dead brown tree snake in the wheel well. There was an international incident. They said, work, your job is to eradicate the brown tree snakes. So I said, okay, I don't really have a lot of training for this. Naval Postgraduate School didn't have a course on it. So we called in a whole bunch of experts on the brown tree snake. Most of them were biologists or ecologists or whatever they were. And I said, okay, how are we going to eradicate the brown tree snake? And they said, sir, we have the answer. Feed them Tylenol. Now, once again, I won't say in polite company what I said then. And I said, okay, I'll push the I believe button. We're going to feed them Tylenol. How do we get them to eat the Tylenol? Dead silence. Sir, we don't do that. You asked us how to kill the brown tree snake. You feed them Tylenol, that'll get her done. So I said, okay, please leave the office. So I gathered up another group of people who were brown tree snake assassins. And I said, okay, how are we going to get the Tylenol into the brown tree snakes? They said, sir, this is how you do it. You inject Tylenol into mice embryos, and you parachute them into the trees. Now, please excuse me, because I did say, you've got to be shitting me. They said, sir, this will work. We guarantee it'll work. So I said, okay. I pushed the I believe button. So off we go. We start gathering up all the little mice embryos. We inject them with Tylenol. We start parachuting them into the trees. And wouldn't you know, it works. The brown tree snakes ate the little critters, and they all started dying. Now, I tell you this story because you were all going to be confronted by the brown tree snake. And you just have to roll with it. You know, that's the price of doing business in the greatest armed forces in the world. Because believe me, over the next 20 years, you're going to have a lot of hard problems you're going to have to work. You know, you were joining the force in a time of unprecedented strategic and technological flux and turbulence. It's going to require all hands on deck to try to figure out how we get through this period. Great power competition is back with a vengeance. The United States has never faced a competitor with a gross domestic product greater than 60% of our own since 1885, when we surpassed the British Empire as the #1 economy in the world. China has already surpassed us in purchasing power parity, and is widely expected that they will surpass us in absolute terms in this decade. So we've never faced a competitor that could outspend us. And we've never faced a competitor who was a technological peer. In the Cold War, we knew the Soviets were technological pygmies. They could compete with us in things like submarines, in space, in nuclear weapons, but when it came to microprocessors, semiconductors, they couldn't do it. And we knew it. In fact, that was the basis of the whole second offset strategy. We were going to beat the Soviet Union technologically. And so we don't know how we're going to do that yet. We just know that we have to defeat the People's Republic of China technologically. They have parity in guided munitions warfare, and they have an offset strategy of their own called system destruction, in which they believe that they will defeat the United States if a war comes by going after the battle networks or the digital constructs that we erect to employ weapons and effects in the battle space. So we knew that, okay, we needed to go after another technological offset strategy to regain our mojo. And what would we put our priority on? There's so much. There's quantum, there's AI, there's synthetic biology, there's 5G, there's additive manufacturing, on and on and on and on. When I came back as the deputy secretary, I started having meetings. So one of my first meetings, I called in the quantum experts. And I said, okay, what do you got? And they said, sir, if we don't win the quantum competition, the Republic is doomed. I said, okay, leave the office. I went home and broke open the tequila. The next day, the AI guys come in, and it was the same thing. If we don't win the AI competition, pack your bags and go home and start learning Chinese. And I go, darn, I'm out of tequila, I'm going to bourbon. And the next day, I can't remember what day it was, but the synthetic biologist came in, and that is some scary stuff. So I called in the Defense Science Board, Craig Fields, who used to be the director of DARPA. And I said, Craig, you got to make sense of this for me. We're going to prioritize. We're not going to just try to cover every single thing. What do we need to do? And the Defense Science Board came back and said there is only one thing that we must absolutely win, and that was AI-enabled autonomy. Now, autonomy, when we were thinking about it, wasn't about technology per se. It was a command and control approach in which you try to push decision-making authority as deep into the battle network as you possibly can and rely upon the young men and women in our fighting force to do the right thing, even when they're cut off communications with higher headquarters. And we started thinking in terms of human-machine collaboration, in which machines help humans make better decisions. And then we started thinking in terms of human-machine combat teaming, in which manned and unmanned platforms would work together to solve tactical problems that have never been solved before. And we've conceived of this and said, we're going to start putting these AI-enabled autonomous applications into our battle network at every level and every place. And at some point, we hypothesized we would reach a tipping point, and the entire network would start to operate in a different way, faster, more relevant decisions, faster understanding of the common recognized operational picture, faster transmission of courses of action and plans. Everything faster, everything moving at extraordinary speed. Now, the Chinese think of this in exactly the same way we do. They call it intelligentized warfare. We call it algorithmic warfare. They call it intelligentized warfare, tomato, tomato. Everyone's looking at it the same way. You've got to win this competition. So this reminds me a lot about the interwar period. Look, every single military officer and every single technologist knew about mechanization. They knew about the advances in aviation. They knew about the radio. But only the Germans said, if you take the radio and mechanization and aviation and you put it together, you have a new operational concept called blitzkrieg. And they did it. They were the only competitor who got it right. And they achieved an enormous battlefield advantage for the first 2 years of the war. So that's what we've got to do now. We've got to have smart people like you and a smart place like the Naval Postgraduate School to figure this out. Now look, the Naval Postgraduate School wrote the book on guided munitions warfare. Wayne Hughes, God rest his soul, he wrote the book. Somebody at NPS is going to write the book on algorithmic warfare. I don't know who it is, but if I had to make a bet, I'm betting it's coming from Naval Postgraduate School. Why? Because here, in one place, you have strategic analysis, you have wargaming, you have simulations, you have high tech, you have warriors who understand operational problems, working with world-class technological talent to solve those problems. You've got connections now with Silicon Valley. Admiral Rondeau was telling me about what we're doing with Apple here, and it's just very exciting. And you do testing, you do prototyping. This is the place where it could all come together. This is the place where we could crack the code on algorithmic warfare. And as I said, my money is on NPS, on the place to do it. So I'm jealous of all of you. If I could rewind the clock and get back into the fleet right now, man, I would just be so happy. But I want to just end with a very important message, which I think you all know. I talk a lot about technology, a lot. But the thing that is going to be the difference is our people. And I'm going to tell you a story about a young Marine sergeant in Afghanistan. Now, I have verified this story is true. It may have been embellished, as Marines like to do. But a squad of Marines, say 10 to 13 Marines, are out on patrol in their area of operations, and they come over the top of a hill, and down, just below them on a plain, is a road intersection. There's a donkey cart and 4 Afghan nationals, and they are doing something suspicious. They are digging something into the ground. So it appears as though they're placing an improvised explosive device. Now this sergeant, he's probably been in the Marine Corps for 4 or 5 years, enlisted when he was 18, so maybe he's 22, 23. He's older than all of the people in the squad except for those privates and corporals whose youthful exuberance would sometimes get the better of them. And so they said, what are we going to do, Sergeant? Are we going to light these guys up? The sergeant said, absolutely not. Our rules of engagement are very clear. If we shot at these people and killed them, and it turned out that they were innocent Afghan civilians, it would just screw up everything we're trying to do in our area of operations. So no, we're not going to do that. But all the Marines are kind of frantic. But, we got to accomplish the mission, Sergeant. What are we going to do? He says, we're going to spread out. We're going to walk down this hill. I want you to all be ready. If they fire on us, we will return fire. But we're going to go down there and see what they're doing. So they get online. They start down the hill. The Afghan nationals see them, and they run away, leaving the donkey cart there. They get down to the donkey cart. In the back is a whole bunch of explosive materials. So now all of the young Marines are disconsolate. They said, we let these bad guys get away. What are we going to do, Sergeant? He says, we're going to unhook the donkey. So, this was kind of like feed them Tylenol. So all the Marines looked at him and go, okay, let's unhook the donkey. And the donkey started walking down the road. Now what do we do, Sergeant? We're going to follow that donkey. They started following the donkey. It goes to a nearby village, and it stops by a hut. The sergeant gets the Marines outside the door. He stacks them up. He says, okay, we're going to go in. And they go in, and sure enough, there's 4 Afghan nationals who look exactly like the ones who were there. And we have explosive residue tests where you can test their hands, see if there's any explosive residue on it. It did have them. They put them into custody and in flex cuffs, and they took them back to the battalion command post. Now, the battalion commander, probably 40, 42 years old, lieutenant colonel, he goes, Sergeant, that was brilliant. How did you ever think of that? And so the sergeant's silent for a couple of seconds, and he goes, well, sir, I grew up on a farm, and I'm a sergeant in the Marine Corps. I've been following jackasses my whole life. Now, when I tell that story, like to the Rotary Club, they go, "That's a terrible story. You know, the sergeant just called the officers all jackasses." And I said, no, you don't understand. First of all, the Marines were disciplined. They had rules of engagement, and they stuck to them. Second, they're mission-oriented. They want to get the job done. And third, they are endlessly innovative. It's just surprising what they do to accomplish the mission sometimes. And that is a little story about all the young men and women who serve in the U.S. military. They're just astounding, and you get to go lead them. That's why I'm jealous. So I'll end this by saying, look, don't let the brown tree snakes get you down. Second, always remember, it's mission first, but people always. If you take care of your people, they are going to take care of you. Whenever you come to a knotty problem, unhook the donkey, and make sure that every man and woman who is serving with you, you tell them, "I want you to unhook the donkey," and you don't ask me permission to unhook the donkey. If you have a problem, just solve it, and I'll back you up. So, as I said, man, this is a great time to be in the U.S. military. It's a great time to be an NPS graduate. Congratulations on all the hard work and blood, sweat, and tears that you had to do to get to where you're sitting now. Thank you to all the parents and the significant others and loved ones who supported them while they were here. Best of luck, and God bless. And always remember, go Navy, beat Army.
I would now like to invite President Rondeau, Provost Gardner, and the Honorable Robert Work forward for the conferring of the degrees upon our doctoral candidates. Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy please stand and proceed to the platform?
Will Navy Lieutenant Commander Daniel Francis Lukaszowski from the Department of Computer Science, the candidate for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science, please cross the stage? The title of Lieutenant Commander Lukaszowski's dissertation is Software-Defined Customization of Network Protocols with Layer 4.5. Lieutenant Commander Lukaszewski's advisor is Professor Xi from the Department of Computer Science. Lieutenant Commander Lukaszewski and research sponsored by the Office of Naval Research developed the first software-defined architecture to support centralized distribution and continuous management of protocol customizations. The unifying architecture provides flexibility and support to network administrators, including a new capability to periodically change network customization without disrupting applications and communications. His developments in protocol customization can help strengthen network defenses by improving the defense and the detection of malicious cyber actors and reducing the effectiveness of their attempted communications. President Rondeau, I present to you Lieutenant Commander Lukaszewski. He has completed all requirements prescribed by the faculty and is recommended for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining. Now, okay, you can go ahead. Go ahead now.
Will Marine Major Matthew Morse from the Department of Computer Science, the candidate for the degree of Doctorate of Philosophy in Modeling, Virtual Environments, and Simulation, please cross the stage. The title of Major Morse's dissertation is Exploiting Kasparov's Law, Enhanced Information Systems Integration and DoD Simulation-Based Training Environments. Major Morse's dissertation advisors are both Professor Curtis Blas and Professor Imre Balou, both from the Department of Computer Science. Major Morse and research sponsored by Marine Corps Logistics Operations Group developed a new approach for integrating simulations and information systems through robotic process automation technology. The outside-in approach presents an opportunity for expanding the scope of simulation-supported staff training and wargaming environments. By facilitating the creation of simulation-supported environments with increased representation of operational information systems and simulation of socio-technical system dynamics, the research will support warfighter preparations for leveraging complex information systems in context. President Rondeau, I present to you Major Morse. He has completed all requirements prescribed by the faculty and is recommended for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Science.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will Navy Lieutenant Vikram Kant from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, the candidate for the degree Doctor of Electrical Engineering, please cross the stage. The title of Lieutenant Kant's dissertation is Framework for Anonymized Covert Communications, a Blockchain-Based Proof of Concept. Lieutenant Kant's dissertation advisors are Professor John McKeechin and Professor Murali Tamala, both from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Lieutenant Kant's research examined how blockchain-based protocols can be used to hide information in a covert manner. He created a new framework to analyze the characteristics of information hiding approaches. No, hold it. Is that right? Yeah. Information hiding approaches, including their security against malicious adversarial activity like forgeries. He also developed a novel embedding scheme and implemented it in the popular Ethereum cryptocurrency blockchain to test its viability and security. His research has advanced the field of steganography and will benefit the Department of Defense. President Rondeau, I present to you Lieutenant Kant. He has completed all requirements prescribed by the faculty and is recommended for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will the candidates for the degrees Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, and Executive Master of Business Administration please stand?
President Rondeau.
But go shake your hand.
I present to you these graduate candidates. After consideration of their academic accomplishments, the Academic Council will recommend them for the degree of Masters of Arts, Masters of Science, Masters of Business Administration, and Executive Masters of a Business Administration as specified.
Upon the recommendation of the Academic Council, I will, by the authority vested in me, confer upon them the degree Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, and Executive Master of Business Administration as specified, with the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will the first row candidates please proceed to the platform? Remaining candidates, please be seated. Of this quarter's graduating class of 270 students, 54 have also earned their command and staff diploma from the Joint Professional Military Education Program sponsored by the Naval War College. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Middle East, South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Major Jared Dahl, United States Army.
Well done.
Captain Benjamin Poth, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander Neha Attavalley, United States Navy. Graduating with distinction and receiving the Naval Postgraduate School Superior Service Award, Lieutenant Commander Amanda Day, United States Navy. Lieutenant Nathaniel Webb, United States Navy. Receiving the Outstanding United States Air Force Graduate Award and the Department of National Security Affairs Air Force Association Award for Outstanding U.S. Air Force Student, Captain Joshua D'Entremont, United States Air Force. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, East Asia and the Indo-Pacific, Major Christopher Leisring, United States Marine Corps. Major Benjamin Sasaki, United States Army. Lieutenant Anthony Gincana, United States Navy. Captain Nathan Chu, United States Air Force. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Western Hemisphere, and graduating with distinction, Major Brennan Parker, United States Army. Lieutenant Clinton Vermillion, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Europe and Eurasia, Major Jordan Seymour, United States Army. Graduating with distinction, recognized for an outstanding thesis, a Meyer Scholar, and receiving the Liskin Award for Excellence in Regional Studies, Lieutenant Matthew Albert, United States Navy. Major William Smith, United States Air Force. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Civil Military Relations, Captain Felix Ajega, Cameroon Navy. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Strategic Studies, Lieutenant Casey Bubala, United States Navy. Recognized as a Meyer Scholar, Lieutenant John McFarland IV, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Combating Terrorism, Policy, and Strategy, Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Furqan Shubir, Pakistan Army. First Lieutenant Tornike Alavidze, State Security Service of Georgia. Recognized for an outstanding thesis and receiving the International Student Award for Excellence in Regional Security Studies and the Naval Postgraduate School Outstanding Academic Achievement Award for International Student, Lieutenant Rizky Karsa, Indonesian Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Computer Science, Major Dimas, Indonesian Navy. Recognized for an outstanding thesis, Captain Brian Atkinson, United States Marine Corps. Recognized for an outstanding thesis, Captain Michael Claypool Kalman, United States Marine Corps. Captain William James Fraser, United States Marine Corps. Receiving the Rear Admiral Grace Mary Hopper Computer Science Award, Captain Nathaniel Jacob Haynes, United States Marine Corps. Captain Carlos Alfredo Perez, United States Marine Corps. Graduating with distinction, Captain Yvonne Sanchez, United States Marine Corps. Captain Matthew Kevin Sweeney, United States Marine Corps. With an outstanding thesis, Lieutenant Joanna Francisco Cruz, United States Navy. Lieutenant Daniel Stephen DeRitter, United States Navy. Graduating with distinction, Lieutenant Gage Allen Hathaway, United States Navy. Lieutenant Fabian Antonio Lopez, United States Navy. Lieutenant Audrey Christine Muse, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Margaret Zick, United States Navy. Ryan Ramirez, Scholarship for Service Program. With the degree Master of Science in Modeling, Virtual Environments, and Simulation, and with an outstanding thesis, Captain Wei Ting Go, Singapore Army. Lieutenant John Timothy Allen II, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Information Technology Management, also receiving the degree Master of Business Administration in Logistics Information Technology, graduating with distinction, receiving the Rear Admiral Grace Murray Hopper Information Technology Management Award, Captain Morgan White, United States Marine Corps. With the degree Master of Science in Network Operations and Technology, Lieutenant Jennifer Lee Kaler, United States Navy. Lieutenant Mark Fiesta Simonti, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Arts in Security Studies, Homeland Security and Defense, Lieutenant Commander Rachel Bond, United States Coast Guard, Tennessee. With an outstanding thesis, Captain Eric Cooper, United States Coast Guard, California. Commander Christian Gaudillo, United States Coast Guard, California. Lieutenant Commander Lee Gorlin, United States Coast Guard, Washington, D.C. Sergeant Special Assignment Anthony Blum, NYPD. Ms. Daira Caravala Taborda, Federal Emergency Management Agency, Washington, D.C. Captain Andy Collins, Seattle Fire Department. Special Operations Supervisor Joseph Darden, United States Border Patrol, Texas. Assistant Chief Robert Goplin, Green Bay Metro Fire Department, Wisconsin. Receiving the Curtis H. Bush Straub Achievement Award, Special Agent Sean Kuzia, Homeland Security Investigations, Arizona. Mrs. Hannah Lamb, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, California. Mr. Justin Luna, Nevada Legislative Council Bureau. Mrs. Madeline Marcinelli, U.S. Capitol Police. Graduating with distinction, Chief Deputy Sheriff Larry McCurtain, Kern County Sheriff's Office, California. Mrs. Elena Miller, Transportation Security Administration, Virginia. Mr. Christopher Packard, Department of Homeland Security, Office of Intelligence and Analysis, Florida. Mr. Christopher Pashley, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Virginia. Captain Oleg Pelikati, District of Columbia Fire Department. Lieutenant Anthony Rotimi, Metropolitan Police Department, Washington, D.C. Graduating with distinction, Captain Luis Sanchez, Amarillo Police Department, Texas. Lieutenant Fabio Serrato, California Highway Patrol. Lieutenant Gerardo Serrato, California Highway Patrol. Lieutenant Nathan Shepard, Portland Police Bureau, Oregon. Officer Travis Slies, U.S. Custom and Border Protection, California. Captain Kevin Thomas, FDNY. Captain Michael Tracy, FDNY. Unit Chief Michael Young, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Alabama. With the degree Master of Science in Electrical Engineering, Major David Jones, United States Marine Corps. Captain Robert Lindstrom, United States Marine Corps. Captain Michael Smith, United States Marine Corps. Captain Zachary White, United States Marine Corps. Graduating with distinction, Captain Uriel Friedman, Israeli Defense Forces. Lieutenant Jeremy Richard Bottomley, United States Navy. Lieutenant Jonathan James Brandt, United States Navy. Lieutenant Ashley Edmond, United States Navy. Graduating with distinction, Lieutenant Joshua Anthony Levitas, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Melissa Carwile Leviton, United States Navy. Lieutenant Christina Natalia Reeder, United States Navy. Graduating with distinction, Lieutenant Commander Christopher Richards, United States Navy. Receiving the First Command Military Leadership Award, Lieutenant Sean Ryan Kavanaugh, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Physical Oceanography, Lieutenant Commander Yeonwon Kim, Republic of Korea Navy. Lieutenant Suluk Pete Klumprasert, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Syed Saad, Pakistan Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Applied Mathematics, Lieutenant Justin Ryan Ray, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Operations Research, recognized as an outstanding thesis and receiving the Military Operations Research Society Stephen A. Tisdale Graduate Research Award and the Chief of Naval Operations Undersea Warfare Award, Lieutenant Spencer Austin Kitten, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Adam Alleman, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Stephen Cohn, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Jared Dieter, United States Navy. Lieutenant Lowell Dixon, United States Navy. Lieutenant Marcus Garcia, United States Navy. Lieutenant Young Hong, United States Navy. Recognized for an outstanding thesis and receiving the Service Navy Association's Award for Excellence in Surface Warfare Research, Lieutenant Violeta Lopez, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Nathaniel Marlowe, United States Navy. Recognized for an outstanding thesis and receiving the Chief of Naval Operations Award for Excellence in Operations Research, Lieutenant Miguel Morano, United States Navy. Lieutenant Mark Mohammed, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Bria Rand, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander William Shields, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Matthew Stimfall, United States Navy. With an outstanding thesis, Lieutenant Eric Valentine Vargas, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Roseanne Witt, United States Navy. Receiving the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory Award for Excellence in Systems Analysis, Lieutenant Corey Poudrier, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Systems Engineering, Mr. Marcus Chavez, Army Test and Evaluation Command. Mr. Christopher Gigliotti, Letterkenny, Army Depot. Graduating with distinction, recognized for an outstanding thesis and receiving the Meyer Award for Outstanding Student in Systems Engineering, Distance Learning, Mr. Kevin Hui Lei, Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division, China Lake. Ms. Tara Ruth Ann Sprinkle, DevCom Aviation and Missile Center, Redstone Arsenal. Ms. Sydney Elise Walton, Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division, China Lake. With the degree Master of Science in Systems Engineering Management, receiving the Meyer Award for Outstanding Student in Systems Engineering, Distance Learning, Lieutenant Frank Konina, United States Navy. Mrs. Ralphianne Noel Doyle, United States Navy. Mr. Michael Donovan, Naval Air Warfare Center, Aircraft Division, Lakehurst. Mrs. Angel Gill, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Indian Head. Mrs. Amy Lee, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division. Mr. Brian Lee, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. With an outstanding thesis, Mr. Andrew Mockamer, Naval Sea Systems Command. Mr. Peter Franz McCauley, Naval Sea Systems Command. Ms. Michelle Irene Mazzaros, U.S. Army PEO C3T Project Manager, Mission Command. Graduating with distinction, Mr. Joseph Novick, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Indian Head. Mr. John Pagel, Naval Information Warfare Center, Pacific. Graduating with distinction, Mr. Gus Walker Paris, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Indian Head. With an outstanding thesis, Mr. John Phillips, Naval Undersea Warfare Center, Division Newport. Mr. Nicholas Savage, Naval Undersea Warfare Center, Division Newport. Mr. Raymond Joseph Stone, Marine Corps Systems Command, Program Executive Office, Land Systems. Mr. Robert Turner, U.S. Navy Engineering and Expeditionary Warfare Center. With an outstanding thesis, Mr. Gerald Willis, U.S. Army Program Executive Office, Enterprise Information Systems, Intelligence, Electronic Warfare, and Sensors. With the degree Master of Science in Engineering Systems, Captain Eunice Ong, Singapore Army. With the degree Master of Science in Systems Engineering, recognized for an outstanding thesis, Major Giovanni Tang, Singapore Army. Major Kenny Teo, Singapore Army. Military Expert 5, Wee Sing Cheng, Republic of Singapore Navy. Military Expert 5, Justin He, Republic of Singapore Air Force. Graduating with distinction and an outstanding thesis, Mr. Yi Cheng Chan, Republic of Singapore, DSO National Laboratories. Mr. Shui Young Yap, ST Engineering Land Systems Limited, Republic of Singapore. With an outstanding thesis, Military Expert 5, Chi Ho Lee, Republic of Singapore Air Force. Major Boon Kiat Pua, Singapore Army. With the degree Master of Science in Systems Engineering Analysis and graduating with distinction, Major Jia Ming Nio, Singapore Army. Major Jin Meng Brian Low, Republic of Singapore Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Military Expert 5, Kia Min Pua, Singapore Army. Lieutenant Lauren Clark Johnson, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Space Systems Operations, recognized as a Meyer Scholar, Captain Alejandro Maldonado, United States Marine Corps. Military Expert 5, Wee Sang Lo, Republic of Singapore Air Force. Military Expert 5, Edwin Kwa, Republic of Singapore Air Force. Military Expert 5, Jun Chia Su, Singapore Armed Forces. With the degree Executive Master of Business Administration, Major Mark Hodges, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Juan Garcia, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Matthew Glaze, United States Navy. Lieutenant Hannah Kilpatrick, United States Navy. Lieutenant Christopher LeMay, United States Navy Reserve. Lieutenant Commander Albert Lee, United States Navy. Lieutenant Kayla Imani Oliver, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Desi Rabel, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Laura Rebel, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Mike Zundell, United States Navy. Miss Maria Victoria Mejia Benton, Naval Ordnance Safety and Security Activity. Ms. Yolanda Boyd, Officer of the Chief of Naval Operations. Mr. Tricia May Kalingashan, Naval Information Warfare Center, Pacific. Mr. Abdullah Kamara, Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command, Washington. Mr. Thomas Demetrio, Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, Joint Strike Fighter Program. Mr. David Hohen, Naval Sea Systems Command. Ms. Anna Melissa Velasco, Naval Surface Warfare Center, Corona. With With the degree Master of Business Administration, Acquisitions, and Contract Management, recognized for an outstanding thesis, Ensign Kevin Mark Sema, United States Navy. With the degree Master of Business Administration, Systems Acquisition Management, and receiving the Department of Defense Management Faculty Outstanding International Student Award, Lieutenant João Franklin Alves, Brazilian Navy. With the degree Master of Science in Management, Defense Systems Analysis, Major Brian Michael Anderson, United States Marine Corps. With the degree Master of Business Administration, Financial Management, Major Patrick Cavallero, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Vanda Corazon Johnson, United States Navy. With the degree Professional Master of Business Administration, Captain Carl David Fagnant, United States Air Force. Captain Delfino Martiz Trejo, United States Air Force. With the degree Master of Science in Engineering Science, Aerospace Engineering, Lieutenant Commander William Bishop, United States Navy. Lieutenant Kyle Burdick, United States Navy. Please join me in giving all of our graduates a well-deserved round of applause. Please stand for the benediction.
Receive the benediction. God of grace, God of glory, the rewarder of all who seek you and the giver of contentment to those who trust in you, bless us with renewed confidence and peace. May we look back so that our past propels us forward. May we look up and find hope in something greater. May we look down and always be present. And may we look straight and renew the vision inside us. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's graduation ceremony. On behalf of the President, Provost, and all of us at the Naval Postgraduate School, I'd like to once again thank you for being here today. We also offer our sincere appreciation to the Naval Postgraduate School Color Guard and the Del Monte Brass. Please remain clear of the aisles until the platform party and faculty have departed. On behalf of the Naval Postgraduate School Foundation, I'd like to invite graduates, faculty, and guests to a reception in honor of the graduates in the Barbara Mitnick Ballroom of Harmon Hall immediately following the ceremony.